Pistols, but I'm not going to physically go crazy, And I was always thinking, I guess because, even before working for my father, because my father, wrote poetry since he was 15. He read Shakespeare, wrote poetry, and always wanted to write his book. And I used to think, well, maybe, I can't maybe be a writer or an artist, but maybe I could promote, one, or maybe because my dad's influence, because he was, you buy at Corey's, then you got to promote your product.
Yeah.
That's what you do your whole life.
So you didn't have necessarily artistic aspirations, although it was all around you. That wasn't, you could detect by yourself that wasn't necessarily your path, and you didn't go crazy when you saw the Beatles, etc. But you knew, you had a feeling earlier on that you liked to be around these people and perhaps promote them and push them and that sort of thing. Yeah, you sensed that fairly early, do you think?
I guess I thought I'd prefer to be promoting the Beatles than just, falling all over the floor, right?
Yeah.
And so the idea of promoting, that was just like every week in our household, Then my father did do, of course, the shows. You have trade shows. So he was always at, if it was not the local trade show, he would fly to Alberta for a trade show, to California for trade shows, San Francisco, and again, you're promoting your product.
This all sounds like good grounding for what was to happen, and what happened in the years to come. All fits into
That's right.
place.
It's sort of just, it's as natural, and also because if you've grown up, with family business, you're used to also taking, we used to say, right on the, you have to take any risk if you go into business to begin with. People that are used to working for somebody, they better do their job well, or I guess they could lose it. But otherwise, it's often difficult for people to go out on their own and do something, because there is always that risk element that, maybe they're frightened of if they haven't been around. If you come from a family that's always been in business, and then their parents in business, and previous, like even my grandmother in London, you're just sort of second nature that actually you don't know anything else. So, the risk is always worth it because you like to be your own boss. And I know it's not always, everybody's different again. And I know even like in the art world, you see the people that do well, but you forget about all the others, and they are forgotten as well, because nothing is easy, right? But
that's true. I guess you have an intuitive sense of risk in business terms, which a lot of people would be frightened of.
Like for me, because I was also fortunate, my father was only positive. So I grew up in an only positive household. Like, you can do anything that you set your mind to. So I guess, obviously that gives you confidence. So you just know you can do it.
Yeah, exactly.
You got to have the product, you got to have the right thing. And then if you work at it, and it's the challenge that's exciting. It's an adventure every day, And sure, there's never a dull moment, that's for sure.
And I guess back in those days, like we see on Mad Men, the series was a bit before that, but the start of promotion and advertising, and that was in its youth in some ways. It's everywhere these days, and we're so used to promoting everything, and everything's on social media. But back then, perhaps it was...
Yeah, like back then, even we used to have 3 weeks, first of all, with your checks. It would take 3 weeks. First of all, you got to mail something, right? And then, before it would even pass through your bank, would be 3-week period.
Oh, yeah.
So, not that they couldn't wire, like we would have, like New York maybe wiring money to us, that's like the next day. But if it was a check, you'd have like 3 weeks to work with as well. So, it's part of also juggling things, like, okay, maybe put that money, or maybe you're buying machinery and that for the plant, or maybe and then you figure out what payments, you have every month. So, just to figure everything out, you did have more time. These days, wow. I mean,
Yeah.
Everything's instant, so,
So from 17 to 20, you were working with your dad, gaining all that experience and immersing yourself in business, but also, meeting interesting people and stuff like that. And when did you, it was at 20, did you go to Birmingham as promised? And what happened?
I worked for my father for those 3 years. Later, I worked for him for another 4 as well, because that involved the gallery as well. But I met Paul in 1966. So
there we go.
It was 1 year before I had planned to go. I was going May 1967. That was the date that I was leaving. And I had been saving my money for 2 years, and I had only 1 more year left. Yes, I did. We ended up, I wasn't leaving on my own. In the end, I left with Paul.
Okay.
In the May 1967.
So you were 19 or something like 19, 20 when you met him?
I met Paul when I was 19, and then, I knew him for that year, so I was 20. Well, I was 20 when we left. He had his 21st birthday at my house, and I had my 21st at his house in England.
Well, that's a brilliant way to end, I think, because we're just at the point where when you two met, and the whole start of the Canadian adventure, or as you say, perhaps some of the Birmingham adventure as well, or a bit of UK as well, but the start of the adventure of the two of you. So we shall cover that in the next interview. It's been fantastic talking to you.
Good.
Thanks very much. Speak to you soon. Thanks for listening to another episode of the Ygartua Art Chronicles. It's fantastic to hear how things in Canada were going and how their two paths met. On the next episode, we'll be travelling with Joanne and Paul through Europe, painting, eating, and much more. Take a moment to visit our website, ygartua-art-chronicles.com, and share with your friends and family. This podcast is recorded and edited by me, Ed Hoskin, and produced by Paul Ygartua and myself. Music is by Hoskin and Clark. See you soon.